Okay, what's up, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel, Racism in America. I'm your boy, Sweet Jones, here to discuss something very disturbing that we sadly are still dealing with in America these days. Disclaimer, we do not have all of the details, and every day a new detail will come out, a new detail will be presented. But for now, these are the details that we do have. It's a senseless loss of life, should not have happened, and I want to give all respects to the family, and I hope that his killers are brought to justice. Rest in peace, Mr. Arbery. Okay, so let's get started. We have two white men, Greg McMichael and his son Travis. Greg McMichael is a former police officer. Allegedly, they spotted Mr. Arbery coming out of an abandoned house, a house under construction, and they decided to chase him down in a pickup truck with a shotgun and a pistol, and ultimately Mr. Arbery ends up fatally shot in the chest. Father Greg McMichael told police that Travis shot Mr. Arbery as he stood in the road with a shotgun, and Mr. Arbery attacked him. It's kind of weird because it seems as if they're going to play a role of self-defense with regards to this case, but that begs me to ask a couple of questions. The most immediate of which being this: do you have the right to call it self-defense if you have, by your own admission, chased someone down and you are quartering them off in the street with a shotgun or with a deadly weapon of any kind? That is the question. Let's go into some history, because it seems to me that history is a thing that everybody wants to bring up when it comes to these cases of unarmed black men being shot. Here's what we know about prior history. Mr. Arbery has been arrested for bringing a gun to a high school basketball game in 2013. He was 19 at the time, still in high school, or either fresh out of high school. Those details aren't completely clear yet. But he brought a gun to a high school basketball game and was arrested for that in 2013 at 19 years old. Fast forward to 2018, he was arrested for shoplifting. Now, that is not relevant to his murder. That is not relevant to his death. That is not relevant in any shape, form, or fashion. The only relevance that has to me, Mr. Greg McMichael, as a police officer, investigated this young man, Mr. Arbery, in his time on the police force. So the reason that makes it relevant is because that means that Mr. McMichael was familiar in some capacity with this young man outside of the incident that happened on the day of. Anybody who's ever worked in corrections knows that you never forget a face. You most likely will forget their name a lot of times. You never forget that face, especially in the case of someone who you perceive as getting away with heinous activities. You never forget those cases, I promise you. His familiarity with Mr. Arbery can be argued as a premeditation, meaning that I know him. I couldn't get him with the law, but now I can shoot his ass because I found him doing something. Some people think that way. So it's highly possible that that is a motive, and that's a motive that can be argued. Some videos come out of Mr. Arbery in the construction site. It is, that much is true. He was trespassing in the construction site. He did not take anything. He did not steal anything. He did not touch anything on that video. Seen that video, he did not do anything wrong other than be on a property that was not his. Trespassing is a misdemeanor. That becomes important later as I move on. The video of his actual death shows Mr. Arbery running towards them. The father, Greg, is in the bed of the truck with a pistol, and the son is near the driver's side, standing in the middle of the street with a shotgun pointed in the direction of Mr. Arbery. Mr. Arbery runs up, A tussle ensues where 3 shots ring out. The first shot happens around the same time that he's grabbing the shotgun from Travis, the son. Camera moves. You can't really see what's happening, but a tussle is happening. It's safe to assume that a tussle is happening. Second shot goes off camera. When the camera pulls back up, you see the father standing on the top on the bed of the truck with the pistol, and the son as well as Mr. Arbery are still tussling for the shotgun. Third shot goes off. Mr. Arbery is down with a gunshot wound to the upper stomach, lower chest area, which he ultimately died from. That was the fatal shot. The first prosecutor, Miss Jackie Johnson, she recused herself from the case because of conflict of interest, because Mr. Greg McMichael, the father, used to work for her office as an investigator in some capacity. That case was then passed on to a Mr. Barnhill, who took over the case. Now, it's been said and argued after he's been recused that he should have never taken hold of the case. He should have never been involved in the case in any shape, form, or fashion for the same conflict of interest reason. That was said by the Attorney General, Mr. Chris Carr, later on. Now, what's interesting is that Mr. Barnhill, who should not have ever been involved in this case in any shape, form, or fashion, wrote a letter statement saying that Greg and Travis were within their rights to make a citizen's arrest, and that they were within their rights in defending themselves in the shooting and killing of Mr. Arbery. Here's where my argument starts. Can you classify yourself as defending yourself if you initiated the contact, meaning they, by their own admission, followed this man in a truck and confronted him with shotgun and pistol in the middle of the street? That being the case, are you within your rights to claim that you are defending yourself if that person dies? Here's why I say no. Let's go into the penal code. Their first claim is that they're making a citizen's arrest. Let's see, Georgia Code 17-4-60, arrest by a private person. A private person may arrest an offender if the offense is committed in his presence or within his immediate knowledge. If the offense is a felony and the offender is escaping or attempting to escape, a private person may arrest him upon reasonable and probable grounds of suspicion. Key words: if the offense is a felony. Trespassing is not a felony. Therefore, they are not within their rights to commit a citizen's arrest. Let's talk about deadly force and their claim of self-defense if they choose to go about the claim. Georgia State Code 16-3-21B says that a person is not justified in using force if he, subsection 1, initially provokes the use of force against himself with the intent to use such force as an excuse to inflict bodily harm against the assailant. You can't claim self-defense if you initiate the contact. By them chasing this man down and stepping out of their truck with their guns and pointing them at this young man, they lose the right to claim self-defense because he did not commit a felony. You can't chase somebody down who has not committed any kind of felony in your presence and then call it self-defense when they fight you. They are the one committing self-defense, not you, dumbass. Anybody who defends that, anybody who says differently is a fucking idiot. But if the murder never happened, at the very least, they committed felony assault. A person commits assault when he commits an act which places the other in reasonable apprehension of immediately receiving violent injury. Which means if you pull a gun on somebody and they reasonably believe that you are going to shoot them, which is a serious bodily fucking injury, they are within their rights to defend themselves. He's within his rights to grab that fucking shotgun, punch that guy in his fucking face. That is his right to do because he's defending himself. That's called common sense. It's also within the law. You can look these laws up. Under the law, what has happened is these men, by their own admission, have admitted to assault, simple assault as well as aggravated assault, by chasing this man down, stepping out of there with a gun and threatening this man with said gun. He had not committed a felony in any shape, form, or fashion. Therefore, they were not in their rights to commit a citizen's arrest. That means, by definition, they have no standing legally to claim self-defense because they themselves are committing felony assault. Period. The end. Like, comment, subscribe. Thank you for tuning in to Racism in America. I'm your boy, Sweet Jones. Appreciate you.